Alright guys, with the power of alchemy, I'm going to create an anime that everyone will love. Here we go. It's beautiful.
You better get back!
Just who the hell do you think I am?
Hey everybody, what is up and welcome back to another anime review. I apologize for the great delay between this and the last one, but there was a lot of things going on in my life that kind of made it harder to focus on these kind of videos as well as other videos, but now things are kind of becoming a bit more, I wouldn't say adjusted, but more understandable to deal with. So I was like, fuck it, we're gonna come back with a fucking banger, because it's really hard to find an anime like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, because it's loved by both the casual audience and by the hardcore audience. It seems like everyone fucking adores this anime. Its praises are sung from here to high heaven. If you watch any anime, like aside from like the big casual stuff like Dragon Ball Z and such, if you watch even just a little bit of anime, you've likely heard of Fullmetal Alchemist at least once in your life. Because it's just that big. It's considered by many to be the greatest anime ever made. Not 2003 series, because that's a very different monster, but is everyone full of hot air? Or is Brotherhood actually just the perfect creation of alchemy? That's the analogy I'm going with. I had nothing else. But, hey, let's get this bitch started. Fullmetal Alchemist stars the Elric brothers, Edward and Alphonse, who, in their early days, committed a taboo, human transmutation, to try and attempt to revive their dead mother. But it came at a costly price. Alphonse lost his entire body, and Edward lost his arm and leg. However, he managed to desperately bind his brother's soul to a suit of armor, leaving the two of them a sham of their former selves. And from then on, they vowed they would use alchemy to return to their normal bodies. But along the way, they get sucked into a few adventures that involve the entire world and might be more than they bargained for. The 2009 Brotherhood anime is definitely a lot different than the 2003 anime for a very specific reason. Brotherhood actually follows the manga. The 2003 series diverges at a lot of points, and it's really non-canon, to be honest. It's kind of all over the place. There's a few things that the 2003 series does better. It does the beginning stuff better before it kind of diverges. Whereas Brotherhood definitely is stronger in the later points. I think the 2003 series is stronger in the beginning, but only that beginning. Brotherhood, I'd say after episode maybe 12 or so, is where it really starts to pick up. Pretty much after Show Tucker, it's where it really starts to pick up. And the anime definitely focuses a lot on character relations, as it's a lot about how the Elric brothers create like ripples and such and affect everyone around them and change people's lives for the better and for the worse, usually for better. And it's definitely a very character-based story, but has a very well-enriched world, which gets revealed more and more as the plot goes on, and it feels very organic as the plot goes. It kind of like slowly becomes higher and higher as the stakes become more and more, and we learn more about these characters. And it's never too open, but never too secretive either. Usually the right facts given at the right time, and because of that, the plots, the pacing, it feels very, very good. And even though I would say the beginning parts are the weakest part, it still is intriguing and enjoyable to watch. And even though there definitely are some weaknesses in those beginning parts, it's just the characters are too strong to not get sucked into it, as well as the idea of it and some other things. The only complaint I really would have, like major complaint, aside from like small points, like with the Show Tucker arc, they don't really talk to Nina too much in this version, where it is in the 2003 version, they talk to her a lot more, and that connection is there a lot more, because this character meant a lot to the Elric brothers, and in Brotherhood it feels not as tremendous as it should. And the other thing is, the anime kind of just starts off by throwing you into something big and without explaining too much. It's not until episode 2 that we hear like the classic talking about alchemy in the introduction. But for like any newcomer, it's really hard to follow for like the first episode. It's really confusing unless you know what's going on prior. So for my first viewing, it was strange to say the least, and I had little idea what the hell was going on. But after that, the anime does a really good job of explaining things. It's just that one sour moment which could turn a lot of people off from the anime, but if that's the case, I would say at least try one more because you will find it explains things a lot more. But as I said, the characters are really damn strong. It's a very character-oriented story. The Elric brothers are very enjoyable. Edward is very hot-headed, and he's very intelligent too. He's like a tactician. He's really powerful, and he definitely makes a lot of great connections with characters. And I never feel like he's too childish or like he's too mature. He's like in that good middle ground of like he doesn't know everything, but he doesn't need to know everything. And Alphonse is it's kind of like a take on the Gentle Giant. Like he's like, you know, giant hulking armor, but he has like a softer voice, and he is usually, well, he's definitely a lot calmer than his brother. And I like the idea that the two of them do their best in this very militarized country to not take other people's lives. And even though in the anime they're often said to have this severe naivete, other characters admire that and they say it'll get them destroyed one day, but they wish that they could do the same because they just know the military so well. And the two characters have a great bond together, and you could definitely see their connection throughout the anime. And even in the beginning, you could tell that these two characters really do care for each other. And that's done through good writing and through good animation and through great character designs, as well as a lot of our side characters like Winry. She's awesome. I love Winry. She is very enjoyable. She has a really great dynamic with the Elric brothers, and there are definitely a lot of really great ways. I kind of feel like they kind of drag her into the plot, but it never feels like it's wrong to do so. It feels like this is the right time to introduce bring the character back into something important, so we find out about her or through other characters, or she gets involved somehow. And she's a big part of the characters' lives, so it makes sense. And both Riza Hawkeye and Colonel Mustang are excessively enjoyable. I love their dynamic as well. They kind of have a good back and forth. Both characters, I just loved every time they were on screen. Maze Hughes, loved him. Armstrong, fantastic. Just he's super enjoyable too. The villains are pretty cool too. I don't say I love them as much as everyone else does. I feel like they're a little more one-dimensional than they should be. I know they're based off the Sins, and so they should feel that way, but I just feel like it was a little hard to make that connection. They were very effective as villains, so they're very effective as villains, but the sympathetic point was only there at a few villains, like kind of a bit with spoilers here. So if you don't want to avoid spoilers, skip ahead to this timestamp right here. But King Bradley was a bit sympathetic, but, you know, there's definitely some points that made him not so much as some of the awful things he did. And then Greed. Greed was also rather sympathetic and a very enjoyable character. And along with Greed, Ling was also very nice too. I get why there wasn't as much of him as there could have been, but he was still really fun, as well as Lan Fan, and forgot the old man's name, unfortunately. And I forgot the little princess's name, unfortunately, too, but she's another character from Xing, who was in our country, and she was also quite enjoyable. And there's a ton of characters in this anime, and I feel like each one is given respect and love and is enjoyable in their own rights. And like I said, it's a very character-oriented story, and it works very effectively as all these characters connect with each other, and they feel interesting and likable and dynamic. And I like that. I really did like that. It was a very effective way to want the audience to continue. Even if they didn't care for the story, they would care for the characters, because the characters are very well written, well designed, and they're just really enjoyable. And the animation, well, I mean, Studio Bones always does a fantastic job. So, I mean, it's hard to knock on the animation. The animation is 99% of the time fucking top-notch. It is high-quality stuff, and it still holds up, except for one point. There is some CG used, some very, very minor moments that you can only really tell if you are looking closely for them, which at some points I was. Otherwise, I didn't notice it. But Envy also has another form that he reveals, And let me just say the CG on that doesn't really hold up. The design is really cool, and I like how like the unnatural, uncanny valley kind of works for the very strange, very creepy design. But I can say it was a little awkward and a little distracting to see that every now and then. It wasn't to say that he was always animated that way. It's just that a majority of the time that that form was animated, it was animated that way. And it's done quite a bit. Like I said, the design is really powerful and very good, but I just, nope, no, no, no. Lots of nopes. But the fights are also really good. They're very interesting, dynamic. I keep saying dynamic. They are never really boring. The alchemy that they work with is always really interesting, as well as the fight choreography, and the animation is always really great. And they find ways to bring in a lot of different characters into a lot of different fights. And it's just, even though usually the fights are a bit shorter than other anime like this, I don't mind because I think they're really good. Let me just say that. They look really good and they're very interesting to watch, and they definitely keep your attention for a lot of action junkies. If people want some good action, you'll get some good action here because there's some damn good action. Like I said, the writing is fucking top notch. The music is also really great too. There's a lot of really great orchestral kind of like sounding pieces that like build up the suspense and make you go, oh my god, a lot's happening. And it might not be a lot happening, but it feels like a lot's happening. And when a lot's happening and the music kicks up, you're like, holy shit, oh my god. And at least that's what I was like, and it really helped build it up. Definitely a really great anime soundtrack. And the English dub is also really great too. A lot of great top-notch performance. Pretty much everyone did a fucking fantastic job. Everyone sounds great. And even though I would say the Japanese dub is still really great too, because I've seen it once in Japanese, not the whole thing, but some of it, I still am very partial to the English dub, and I feel like there's a lot of really great performances that a lot of people know are really great. Usually when I talk about great English dubs, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is brought up a lot for good reasons, because it's fucking great. And overall, everyone just kind of sucks this anime's dick, and even though I won't say I'm exactly 100% on board with that, it's still fucking really great. I have my own personal issues with it, which are kind of minor, but I feel like the characters, the story, the animation, so much of it is so strong and so effective that it's hard to not just love this anime. And a while ago when I watched it, I wouldn't say it was in my top 10, but now I've caved in, guys. It's like I said, I wouldn't rate it as my favorite anime. There's still like at least 6 or 7 other anime that I'd say I love more. But this one is definitely quite up there. And I'm going to give Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood an 8.5 out of 10. It is damn good, and you should go and check it out. It's available on Netflix, and you can buy it, because buying stuff's cool, and it helps support the industry, so. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please go and make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out my videos. Also, make sure to check my supporters, all the great stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.